All right, folks, we're back for another edition of the Raptors 2K podcast, brought to you by our friends at UberEats. It's your boy EE, Phil Visu, my man Shane. We are really stringing together these episodes, Shane. Personally, I'm very proud of us. The commitment that we have shown to one another for this past 2 weeks has been like, and it all started with the Twitter follow. Did you notice that? Did you notice
I did
that?
notice that. Yeah, the chemistry, right? It's forming. It's really developing. But yeah, we're on a roll, man. We're cooking. We did a little spurt in the beginning, and then we were just like dead for a while. And
Yep.
now we're meeting so often that I was just asking you, hey, anything going on in your life that we can kind of open up the banter with? And because we are so up to speed on one another's lives, the only thing you could think of was the fact that Chipotle didn't charge you for double meat the other day. So yeah, we're in lockstep at the moment.
You know what? And that's okay. You know what I'm saying? That's okay. At any given moment,
Yeah,
something
man.
could pop up for the next podcast. So we're not even going to worry about that too much. But obviously, not too much going on in my day today. How about yourself, Shan? I know you're a very busy man. So why don't you catch us up on what's been going on?
Yeah, man. Just between meetings, making time to record the pod here for Raptors Uprising. We've got the AMP guys are in Atlanta shooting, and I'll be heading down there in a couple days. We're doing another park takeover. For anyone who's keeping
Ooh.
up with AMP, we tried to do a park takeover video back in June. Like prime heat in Atlanta. It was so hot, and way more people showed up than we even anticipated. I mean, we knew it was going to be a good turnout, but it was just crazy. And so we put out a video announcing that we're going to run it back, and everyone's been asking where's that video, because they saw on social that it was crazy packed. And what's funny is in our promo video for the remake, the redo on Saturday this weekend, Agent talks about how we ran out of water and people are passing out. And I saw some people in the comments, talking about how'd you run out of water? Can't everyone bring their own water? So true story, some dude stole our cooler at our park takeover and started selling it for $5 a pop to the people who attended our park takeover. And so I wasn't there. I'm getting these messages from the crew and they're like, yeah, someone stole our water and he's selling it. I'm like, we have armed security. Like, how is this happening right now? Someone grabbed the reins. So anyway, I love the crew. They do a fantastic job. That was a particularly difficult one to handle. And in all fairness, they had been out there since like noon setting up, 5 hours before we even started shooting. And apparently it was just the hottest
Oh,
day ever
okay. Yeah.
in Georgia. So I get it. A little later in the season, we're going to do it a little later in the night. We're under a covered court this time around. And I'll be down there to help just, make sure no one steals our cooler and start selling the water back to our fans like last time.
That is actually insanely wild. But you know what? I'm for it. I'm for it. Get it any means you can. No, don't actually do that. That's terrible. That's actually just
Yeah, you got to respect the
unforgivable.
hustle. That's for sure.
I do. You know what? We can get our hustle on the right way though, because I was telling you about, how I got lucky with that Chipotle not too long ago. Today is the day that my order arrives before you. Because
We'll
I've
see.
already put it in.
We'll see. You want to
I've
wager
already
on
put
that?
it in. I already put it in. I
Oh,
put it
you're
in 2
you're
minutes
jumping the
before.
gun. What'd you
Yes,
order?
I'm hedging my bet. I actually ordered it from a place. It's called Sushi Damu. Okay. And they prepare
You're
this
always into that sushi.
immaculate tuna roll, Philadelphia roll, and that's on its way. Though I did check
Nice.
the ETA not too long ago, and there's a good chance you're still going to win. So go right ahead and place your order. Unfortunately.
One of my new favorites. I love discovering new favorites on Uber Eats. It's from a spot called In a Bowl, and they do kind of like custom bowls. But I don't even do the bowls. I love their beef short rib, sort of like Jamaican teriyaki, or sorry, Japanese teriyaki style beef short ribs. Those little
Ooh, that
thin
sounds
sliced beef
good.
short ribs. Yeah,
Yep.
on rice with just like perfectly steamed vegetable or perfectly steamed broccoli. Broccoli is my favorite vegetable, kind of like al dente broccoli, so it's like a little cooked, but it's still kind of crispy. You know what I mean? I hate when the broccoli gets
Broccoli's
too
good.
soft. Yeah, that's probably my favorite veggie, to be honest. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That's been a regular for me lately. Shout out Uber
All
Eats.
right. Well,
Appreciate the lunch.
yeah, Uber Eats holding it down for us, man. Well, we'll see who gets here first. Again, this ETA is not looking too promising, but nonetheless, when it does arrive, it'll feel good to eat after a successful podcast has been completed. No Raptors 2K podcast can be successful without a guest, without one of the many guests that we have come on, and this time we have somebody very special joining us, the homie KennyGotWork. Bring him on
The
in.
true homie, the OG homie, the
Yes,
first ever
OG
Raptors
man.
Uprising player. What
That's
up,
true.
Kenny?
And still with
What's
the
going on,
team,
fellas?
what, 5 years later, Kenny? Is that accurate? Is
Five
that
years
the
Yeah,
later.
journey? It's been 5 years with
this
the team?
this, this was year 5. We just wrapped it up. you know, short season, but looking forward to what the future holds.
We were. I saw Kenny on the weekend. Kenny, will have to acknowledge that. Told Kenny Saint and Type to come out to a club I was at with some friends for a birthday in Toronto. I don't go downtown too often anymore. Those who've been following, I'm a boomer. I live in the suburbs, but it happened to be that we were doing this thing for my friend's birthday, and I knew it was the end of the season. I really wanted to see the guys out, and more of a social way. So had a good time, Kenny. I think I may have ninja vanished towards the end. My friend was not in great shape by the end of the night and needed to get home quick. And I woke up the next morning. I'm like, man, I hope I know we had a good time. I know we spent a lot of time together during the night, but I don't quite remember the end of the night. So a little fuzzy by the end there, but it was great to see you guys, and not in a work environment for the first time this season.
No, man, I appreciate the invite. I know you're a very busy man these days, so I couldn't not show up and bring the guys out with me. So I'm really
Yeah,
glad that you invited us.
it
That's
was great
actually
to
a
see
really
you.
good point. Like what was like this season like for you without Shane like actually like in charge of like the esports program and everything? Like was that like a different shift for like you and the team in general?
Yeah, no, it definitely was different. Um, Especially kind of like on the business side because Shane took care of all of the content. Like it felt like it was way less content this year.
Mm.
And I think that's a big part of what Shane was doing. Great for us. And then we brought on like Sam Pham and Kev stepped up into this coaching role. So the way everything was engineered, it was like completely different. Um, but we making strides toward better results. But it was yeah, I would say it was different, a different experience.
Yeah, we the last time we recorded, Phil, I was saying I'm getting a smoothie because I was heading down to meet Kenny and the team and all the staff as well for like an end
Yeah.
of season dinner at Real Sports, and so we were chatting that night about it. And I think like the expression that pressure makes diamonds is true. We were talking about the coaching process and the fact that the team struggled this year, and Sumit's asking me for input. What do you think we need to revise? You've been kind of keeping a finger on the pulse of what the team is doing, and Kenny agreed like really the coaching staff and the analyst team did more than we've ever done before. I think the lack of results kind of forced them to feel like they needed to do it, and probably my absence was like, okay, now it's all on us. We got to make sure that everyone knows we're doing everything we can. But I really feel like the team did everything they could this year. Sometimes it's just hard to put a 2K team together with, especially with like the variability of how the game's going to play. It's just really hard, honestly, to know in the off season whether the team you put together is going to click with the league build. But I'm really impressed by the process that was built, and I think that if we can get right next year, I think the habits that were developed this year are going to really lead to great things for the future. So I think the organization grew, even though it was inarguably a down season for us performance wise.
Yeah, I
Yeah, I
agree.
feel that.
Uh, the X's and O's was there. Who was well prepared. It was just a matter of us coming out and execute, and we didn't execute in game. So that's why we fell short. Pretty much everything this
Is
season.
that is that where like is that how you would like just describe I guess season five like or the season five in general? You know what I mean? Like because I mean your guys are all freaking good. You know what I'm saying? Like that is just no
Yeah,
question about that. But just to underperform in that manner definitely surprised a lot of people, myself included. Like if you had like kind of pinpoint what went wrong, what would you say was the cause of it, my guy?
and I would say we wasn't moving as a team all year long. And if you're not moving as one, it's gonna be hard to win games in this league. And it's been proven throughout the 5 years. And I think it kind of showed. We had good stretches where we looked good in scrimmages and things like that, but we was never just a collective unit all year long. Like we had little spurts, but it wasn't consistent, and that's why. And I seen some tweet today, I think on ESPN. They posted like the teams and the winnings from this season, and the league has done such a great job of giving us opportunities to win like cash from 3v3 to 5v5 and all these tournaments that
Mm-hmm.
we're playing in, and I think we didn't win like nothing like this season.
Yeah, just
So that
base
just tells
salary and
you the
stuff.
type of yeah, it just tells you the type of season and I've had success in this league. So I come in with a mindset that we're gonna win something, So I guess you can say put pressure on myself, but I I didn't come in this league to make base salary, you know. So
Yeah.
have those type of seasons, and then especially at this point in my career, you know, I'm 32 years old now, man. You know, these young guys coming in hungry, but yeah, it's just you got to take the wins with the losses and got to bounce back, you know, learn from it.
Half a decade in the league, man. That's a milestone, undoubtedly. We
It
were saying
actually
at that
is.
dinner, we were saying at that dinner, like, you know, how many guys are still in the league from season one, but then if you add the variable of how many guys are still on the same team since season one, I mean, Kenny is really a unicorn, you know, in this player community.
Nah, definitely.
You had
Yeah, that conversation was crazy. I think on the same team now, the guys that came in, they're still on the same team. You probably can count on like one hand, right?
It's like
It's something like
you, Dave Fry. Oh no, Dave Fry was Dallas. Shit.
Day Fry was with the Mavs. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
shit.
exactly, and then
yeah.
That's tough.
Who even is? Yeah.
since season,
Who even is
since
still on their
season
same? Oh
one,
well, authentic African.
yeah,
Okay, true.
me,
He's been Grizz forever.
me, authentic. Man, so many guys bounced around this year. Oh my goodness, me, authentic.
Because for a while you had the Mama Walnut connection, but then that's been blown up for a couple seasons now.
Is that it?
Is it literally just you and Authentic?
That actually might be it.
It's funny because we have had this like weird like connection to Authentic and Lang and the Grizz since the very beginning, because we had Ogie as a coach who helped me really draft the team in season one, who was really good friends with Authentic Africa. That was his like best mate in like 2K, you know, retail. And he was in my ear about drafting authentic, and we were convinced to do so, but we pushed him off from using our first pick for him. So we're like, we'll use our second pick for him. And he was on the board, and the Grizz were drafting one pick before us in the second round. It was like a snake draft. And he was on the board, and then Lang grabbed him one pick before us. And we went with the Toxies instead. And then, you know, Kenny's from Memphis, Authentic's from Toronto, and then we just keep having these like rivalries with them where we've been kind of like neck and neck in standings many years and like had to play like big games against each other and stuff like that. It's like we've just always been connected to Lang and Authentic. It's wild now to think that like you two are some of the only two that are still on your original teams. Crazy how that
I
all
guess
worked out.
Ramo counts, right? But he had that brief stint on the Pacers.
No, he left.
But
He left.
Yeah, but he is back on
He's
Detroit. I
back.
mean, he's he went back, you know. I don't know. I'm
True.
grasping for straws,
I
man.
don't
It's
think
tough
they
right
count.
now.
Yeah,
I think that's a big asterisk. But you're right. The way we framed the
agree.
question, who's still on their first team, but
yeah.
I think it's who's been on that team the entire time, you know, all 5 seasons. And it speaks volumes, man. It speaks volumes about your character. I mean, we all know Authentic African, you know, even though he talks a lot of shit about our organization, you know, we all know him to be a great guy. He's got, you know, really, really big heart. You know, 2K League, I think, is great, especially for the 6 months. I think the compensation and having like pretty much low or no cost living while you're here. I mean, I think it's fair compensation for, you know, where the industry's at right now and where the league's at right now. But I mean, it's still not like, you know, you have lots of excess to do what you want with the money type thing. And I remember, you know, since season one, Authentic African's been like sponsoring kids in Africa and, you know, just really giving back in a super generous way. You know, it's not like he's just, you know, swimming in money to be able to do that. So he's always really, you know, stood out to me. And I had a great experience with him before the first draft. I invited him and Ogie to a Raptor game and had a great night out with them and all that. But since then, for whatever reason, he's chosen us to be his least favorite team in the league. And every opportunity he gets in interviews, he makes sure to remind the audience of that. Someday we'll have to bury the hatchet, I guess. You know, maybe when he retires or he moves out of Grizzland, we'll bring him to a Raptor game and we'll make sure that he's, you know, a big fan of Toronto again.
Nah, it really don't make sense to me that this is his worst team because, like,
Right? I don't know where it came from. Like,
I'm really good friends with him. Like, I talk to him. Like, even when I'm in Memphis and he's still there, like, we link up. Like, it's crazy. I never asked him about it, but you know,
I think Scott Cole really eggs him on, to be honest, because he like said it one time, and it was in one of those seasons. I don't know if it was season one or I think it might have been down the stretch of season one, and we were getting really cocky. We were winning, and we were getting really cocky with our content and just kind of, you know, talking trash, trying to like get the social banter going. And so I think it might have been that. It might have been just that he's a humble guy, and we were being like, you know, we were being pretty loud with our brand on social media. So that may have been what kind of turned him off initially. And again, we were like competing neck and neck for those final playoff spots. But he said something in one interview, and I swear Scott has just been pouring gasoline on it ever since. So I blame Scott for catalyzing that anger. Yeah. I
That's
love that
something that.
about Scott. I always tell him. Go ahead, Ken.
No, I was just saying that sounds like Scott, like what Phil
Yeah.
said. You give him some kind of
Scott
element,
always lets it
he's
fly.
gonna go with it. Yeah, for sure.
Exactly. He always lets it
That's
fly, but he
true.
keeps it authentic on the broadcast. I love that about him for sure.
Definitely appreciate that. One thing that that get your perspective on too, Kenny, is like when I was doing league stuff, it was all in New York. It was I like New York. It's a chill city, a little too busy sometimes, but still a chill city.
Yeah.
But this
Smells a bit.
last couple seasons, doing stuff, yeah, in Indiana, or like what's the comparison between the two? Do you have like a preference on where you'd rather play your live events and spend your time?
Between New York and Indy,
Yeah,
I would have to go with Indiana. It's
really.
yeah. The reason why
People keep
is
saying that. Wow, yeah.
the studio is better. It's like more convenient. Obviously, New York is the better city. Like, don't get me wrong, but my experience like being in the studio is like it was much more space. I get to New York, man, and not to talk down on them, but traffic, it takes an hour to get to my hotel, like on a Tuesday. And then coming from the hotel to go to practice at the facility, yeah, the rooms was limited. So you probably had like 3 training rooms, which was just bad. But if you're trying to go to the Brooklyn Bridge from what was it, Manhattan, or
Yep.
it
Yeah.
took what 20-30 minutes just to cross the bridge, when in reality it should be what 5-10 minutes.
You could probably walk it
No
faster.
traffic.
Yeah.
It just seemed like a kind of like dirty city, man. You got trash all over the street, and
True.
it was just a tough
Famous,
experience for me,
famous used to
man.
always rip on the smell. He'd get there and he'd be like, nothing like the smell of piss on a game day kind of thing. Uh, but no, I mean, I hear you. Like, definitely, because the league did this whole like hub city thing, right? Where I don't know how many teams it is, but several of the teams in the league now have their players living in kind of centralized housing in Indy. Obviously there's like that frees up budget, right? So when your
Yeah,
hard costs are less because you don't have a studio, right in Manhattan, that frees up money to spend on extra amenities, more space, all that kind of stuff. I think New York is just such a great 2K city. Like, there's such a 2K player base there that um, I think that the missed opportunity was that pandemic season when the league had that like beautiful new studio right smack in Manhattan. We didn't have to go
yeah,
across to Queens, and then we never got to even see it. All we ever saw were those photos and that one like time lapse video of them setting it up. But that would have been amazing. If the pandemic hadn't happened, obviously a lot of bad things wouldn't have happened had that not
yeah,
occurred. But had it not happened, the 2K League would have been in New York, would have been in that big crazy studio, and I bet you that would have done wonders for like the studio audience. And I doubt we ever would have left. You know what I mean? I don't think it would have moved to Indy if we had
yeah.
had that pandemic
And
season.
and that's kind of the main reason I go with Indy over New York, because of the studio. Now, if we did get to see that new state of the art facility that they were showing us, at least from what it looked like, then I probably would say New York, but I'm gonna go in.
And producer Johnny just let us know that Wolf has also been on the Pacers since season one.
My guy Wolf, yeah.
I knew there had to be another one. Like,
I knew it was another one.
What do you like better in Toronto? The old model, the Bell Five House model, or the new model, the condos downtown with the separate facility?
All right, it was 4 seasons in the Bell Five, so I just can't throw that out the way. I had my best season in the Bell Five. It was so convenient, to just go right downstairs and it's your work area. But it's so much better being downtown in Liberty Village. First of all, we have single condos, single apartments, and in a nice area down here. Um, Second of all, we got this nice facility here, the Bell Gaming Center, and now we have like streaming rooms as you see I'm in right now. We still have the same setup from the Bell Five house, but it's just way different because we have so much access to things like gyms, like where the Toronto Argonauts, their facility where they train and things, that we have access to that. So, and it's right like
oh
next
wow.
door. Yeah, and so we have access to gyms, and at the Bell 5, I really didn't. I would have had to take an Uber or take a 10, 15-minute drive, but now you can walk. And I have access to a gym in my apartment as well. So it's really no excuses for me to not be eating right and, getting on track with my fitness, especially getting up in this age, man. I gotta watch what I eat now, man. It's crazy.
You're preaching
I
to the
feel you,
choir,
man.
man. I used to be
I
able to
feel
do
you.
anything. I used to be able to eat whatever. That changed real quick for me as I got closer and closer to my. Now I'm mid 30s, and yeah, it's wild.
Man,
I think if I eat 1 pound of McDonald's, it turns into 5 pounds of fat. It's wild. I don't know
yeah,
how the math works. I don't know how the
I
math
mean,
works, but
it's
you and Cook were always, health focused. You guys were always finding ways to work out, even if it was just on the street. I'd pull
yeah,
up to the Bell Five House, and you guys would be out there just, sweating, like had just gone for a run, hooping, etc. So you always found a way, and I agree, man. The Bell Five House, I mean, those memories, like some of that content that we shot there, like I'll always cherish those memories. I got a feeling someday I'm going to be like 50 years old and in that part of the city, and I'm just going to like roll past the house and just have a look at it for old time's
yeah,
sake, but this is leveling up. This is where the industry has been heading, and we knew that for years, even when we were in the Bell Five House, right? It's just, man,
for
like the
sure.
the costs of doing everything that we did this year, they're pretty significant, and so it took a little while. I had to get the
Sure.
organization into a certain place financially, I think, in order to be able to make those investments. And it's funny you mentioned the Toronto Argos gym. So for those of you who are listening from the States who don't know, the Toronto Argos is the CFL team, the Canadian Football League team, that MLSE, the parent company for Raptors Uprising, also owns and operates. And yeah, they're right there in Liberty Village where the facility is. Who? So we got this note in our notes preparing for this conversation. Who
hmm
puts in more work at the gym? You or Saint? We hear that is a heated debate.
See, the thing is, I'm gonna say me. We have witnessed. Kev gets his work in also, so he's at the gym. But Saint, he's a more. I guess he's a big talker. He chats more. So if you listen to him, he'll have you convinced on he's the man putting in the work and all. But get to know him, you'll know. All right, man, you just talking. So definitely myself.
nothing
Um,
wrong with keeping it a stack.
But the thing is, like, as long as he's showing up in the gym, that's a win for me. And I
exactly.
noticed, like, going to the gym, if you have like a partner, like one person to go with, it makes it that much easier to go. Like that's why it was so easy for me and Cook to like go outside and maybe get up shots in front of the Bell Five House and then jog around the neighborhood down there. It's just when you have somebody to do it with, but you have to have a different type of motivation if you're doing it alone. You know.
It's funny. You may have spoken to him too. I know Kev Franklin did, but one of the journalists, Stephen Long, who's been kind of following Raptors Uprising since the beginning, used to be with Sportsnet. Now, he's doing an
hmm
article right now for the Toronto Star. He interviewed me yesterday and was asking about why we place an emphasis in a video game, in terms of preparing a video game team. Why do we place an emphasis on working out and eating right? And man, like, I can't stress for those of you listening, whether you're, involved with a team operation or a player aspiring to, like, I cannot stress how important I think it is, to make sure that the team is working out and you're trying to set them up for success with, eating right. Even for those guys who come in who don't have any experience doing it, because everyone goes through the same process. Like when you start working out, you just feel really, really good. And Kenny, as you mentioned, like you can't have success in the 2K league. And from my experience, a dozen plus esports, in any esport, if the team isn't vibing. And man, when everybody on the team feels better than they did before they came into the season, just because they physically feel better, working out releases those endorphins, makes you happier. The effect that actually has on the chemistry of the team is like really hard to underestimate or to understate, to overstate, I should say. And similarly, like getting to bed early, right? Like, man, it is to focus and play a game at the level that you guys need to play at for as many hours as you need to play for like a practice block. You need to be eating your Wheaties in the morning. You need to be getting your 8 hours of sleep. Like all that stuff is so critically important. So, again, it comes up all the time. Like part of the article, one of the first questions he asked was, do you think, gamers or esports pros are athletes? And, I'm really not hung up on this like definition of athletes. To me, like an athlete is someone who competes in athletics, right? I don't consider video games to be athletic. So I think this label of athlete it doesn't make any sense, and it doesn't matter to me. It doesn't devalue at all what pro gamers are doing. But at the same time, I do think that being athletic, to whatever your personal level of athleticism is, is a huge help in being a pro gamer, right? Like literally, if you're not a runner and you go do a 1 kilometer run, you are going to just be, getting that blood flowing. Your brain's going to be firing on all cylinders. You're going to be feeling good. I think all that stuff is just critically important. I don't know
Yeah,
about you,
I
Ken.
I I vastly agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, Phil, I mean,
Sure.
we spoke about it earlier in the season of the podcast, right? Like you went through a crazy health transformation. I remember, you're down a lot since, when I first met you. So I know you're feeling that as
69
well.
pounds, baby. Putting in that
Congratulations,
work.
man.
Oh
That's huge. That's hard
And
to
man,
I did
do.
it all. Thank you. I did it all without Adderall too. Just hard work, like you said, and a good diet, which you guys can partake in as well. It's pretty simple. You can send a Twitter DM to Raptors GC on Twitter. Obviously, use the phrase UberEats Kenny Season 3 MVP. We'll send the first 3 people a $25 Uber Eats gift card, so you can chow down during some good food during the next podcast or your next workout, even if you want. That's open to those Canadian listeners. So enjoy that, my guys. Perfect
That's my
segue.
co-host. Yeah, perfect segue. Literally perfect. Other than the guests, my favorite part of doing this podcast is seeing how Phil is going to work in the sponsor plugs when I'm not even thinking about them. So that's why we pay him the big
Don't
bucks for
worry,
this,
man.
and I'm just here
I
volunteering.
never take any days off in that regard. Now, Kenny, I know you said you guys didn't have obviously like the best season, but I mean, it had to feel kind of cool to see one of like the OGs finally take home a big win there. I saw the Pistons getting the trophy in the 3v3, led by Ramo. That was pretty sick to watch. Like as someone from like the old school vet class here in the 2K league, is it cool to see that? Because like it's still very possible for you OGs to get the job done.
no, it's always cool to see, man. Especially somebody who work as hard as Ramo. I can't say he puts the work in, and a testament to what he done. He's a champion now. I know people are gonna try to take it away because it's 3v3 and all, but he was playing for, I don't know how much the prize pool was, and they came out on top. And I was telling like my teammates, I'm like, man, it's just something about the lineup with the inside big and 3v3, man. It's just like it does something to me. But I think we tried it, but I was on point guard, and I probably had a bad series on it, and I guess Kev and Sam was like, nah, maybe this isn't it. But no, I knew that lineup in 3v3 with the inside big. I knew that was it, and they went
Yeah,
on there and won it. So yeah, like my guy Ramo, he works his tail off, and it's always good to see like the OG. If it's making the All Star game, we'll get first, second team. You want to see them do well.
Ramo's just one of those competitors. He's easy to root for because you just like he oozes competitiveness, and like he's able to talk trash, but you respect it because it's always like about the competition. It's always about the game. Our first experience, remember Kenny back in season 1. So again, walk down memory lane. Like back in the beginning of
Mhm.
season 1, we didn't even have a practice mode. So if you wanted to scrimmage 2K league build, you had to do like inter team like 3v3 friendlies when we were only playing 5-on-5, and then there was even like 2 AI on the court on each team at that point as well. So the only way to get like real 5v5 reps was to go and like physically boot camp. And so again, talking about our humble roots, years before we had private condos and a whole Bell Gaming Center. I remember we hopped in a rental van, drove, stayed in like the
Oh, we
most
did.
budget motel on the side of the highway. But we had this
Yeah.
amazing boot camp with the Pistons. And that was the boot camp. We played like 32 scrims in 24 hours, and we figured out our lineup, and then that's what sent us on the kind of the Cinderella run from the bottom of the standings, like right up into the 4th seed and into the playoffs. But that was my first time meeting Ramo. And back then there were no teams were putting out content about their players. Like other than the draft night, you really didn't know anything about any of these personalities. And
yeah,
so
Yeah.
Ramo made an impression that meeting. He was just like that loud voice, like front and center, shaking everyone's hands. Talking trash with Adam Rubin, and he just made an impression on me. So yeah, likewise, I'm also glad to see him find some success this year. And speaking of that team and that win, what's what's your take on Ant's interview? Did you see that?
Uh, honestly, I didn't even see the interview, but I heard that he mentioned like some of his biggest haters or his biggest
He went at everyone. He went at everyone. Went at all, everyone in the community, the players who doubted him, who talked trash about him, the Knicks for trading him. Like he just went at everyone.
I love it.
yeah. I
I
mean,
love it too, to be honest. I
you
gotta
gotta
say, I
love it.
love
You
it.
gotta
That's
love it. And one
yeah.
thing about him, like, I know it's been a lot of things on his name. I've never seen anything on, so I can't tell if it's like true or not. But one thing you gotta like about Ant is he's a competitor and he's gonna compete with and against whoever. And you gotta love that fight. And I seen him like trash talking. He don't back down, and that's what you want from guys in this league if it's gonna be successful.
It's good for sports. It's good for esports. I love that stuff. I hate when the leagues try to like curb that stuff. You know what I mean? Like coming, from my years with Luminosity and Call of Duty, like that's what made Call of Duty like so fun. I hate when they try to
Mhm.
kind of sugarcoat things and suppress the
You
banter and
need
stuff
that,
like that. I
bro.
think that just yeah,
It
you need it.
shows off
You
the
need it.
personality. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
Totally.
it's
We've
great.
talked about this before. Look at the most viral moments in 2K League history. It's like it's the almost fight over the stage, in New York and stuff like that.
That
I
was
don't
great.
want to see
Dr.
anyone ever
Disrespect
physically
reacted to that.
fight over pro esports, but I do like, when the antagonism is there, when it's antagonistic and competitive and everyone's talking trash to each other. I love that stuff.
Nothing wrong with showing some passion. That's all. That's the way I look at it. Nothing wrong with showing some real passion.
Who do you keep up with? Like Pat, like I love when I tune into the stream and I see like all these like Raptors Uprising alumni. Like obviously that's there's a little bit of cause and effect, but also a result of the fact that we would sort of draft still trill players. And I think we had some success when we were doing that. And just talking about some of the struggles we had, at a game this season. Obviously, we had to trade a really talented player in Dime just because there were some issues, outside of the game, and not his fault necessarily, but that was like the one move we could do that could kind of squash a couple things that were going on.
Yeah.
But I love that. What are your thoughts? So first of all, like let's talk about Raptors alumni, like who you keep up with, and then second of all, as we look to the future and obviously need to make some changes because it just didn't work out well this season. Would you go back to that route of trying to draft from the community of people who play together in the off season, like the extended Still Trill network who where there is that chemistry and that there's going to be that out of game connection.
Yeah, me personally, I would, but only if those guys are putting in the work and they're worth it. I just wouldn't draft anyone off the sole the fact of that's my friend or I just play with him. Play with him every day, and I like you said, man. I think that chemistry really means something. It's just something for like your teammates, like for you to know their motive, for them to like believe in you when you're running the show. When I was point guard, like season 3, I had Cook like right there, and he one guy who always believed in me, and Jerry also like when he first got here, our pick and roll chemistry it was kind of trash because he don't talk much when he's playing. I don't talk much, so we kind of trying to go off the field of what we're trying to do, So that didn't help. But like the more we played, the more he understood like what I wanted and where I wanted to be. And I think Jerry was happy as long as I was hitting him like coming up the court. Like he liked touching the ball. So that's when we start when our chemistry went up out the roof. But I definitely keep up with Josh. Josh is one of my favorite teammates. Doza, I keep up with him, Slim, all the guys. To be honest, Detox he's doing this thing down. He moved down to Florida. And obviously Yusuf, he's still in the league. He's having success with one of the best teams in the 2K league right now, in the 76ers. But Trey, he moved to Texas,
Oh no.
and yeah, he moved from Arkansas, so he's in a bigger state. So yeah, most definitely, because I kind of take pride on when I throw the word like brother around there, around, and I actually feel that way. And
Yep.
I guess it was easier because we was in the Bell Five, we was living in the same house, so but for 6 months, and you can love and hate each other. It was a lot of like love hate relationships. It's gonna grow on you,
The
but
pressure
at the end
cooker.
of
Yeah, it's a pressure cooker.
yeah, but at the end of the day, everybody want to win and everybody want to kind of look good doing it. And I was actually texting Quay like yesterday. He posted some on Instagram, and I was messing with him. But it's always laughs and giggles when I talk to Quay. But
We had
yeah,
Quay on, man. I wish
Yeah,
Quay
he's hilarious.
committed to. I wish he committed to doing the content stuff that he keeps telling me he's going to do. Because man, he has the potential. But as we've talked about in previous podcasts, like it doesn't happen by making 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 videos. It's like you got to be steady
nah,
with it, right?
not definitely.
Uh,
It got to be something that I guess kind of natural. I would say because growing up, I wasn't walking around recording everything, bringing my phone out like. So I had to like adapt to like the social media thing. Like I really wasn't. I remember when MySpace first came out. I was in high school. I want to say, or maybe junior high, but I really didn't get on the MySpace wave until like late, and then Facebook was coming around. Then I started doing that like after I almost graduated like high school, and it was kind of like a whole new world to me. So I can imagine how easy it is for kids nowadays because they're working iPads at 1 years old now, unlocking phones and things, and it's just amazing. Like
they're
where
used to
this world
broadcasting
where
everything,
it's
right?
going.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
was gonna say, yeah.
yeah, for
It's like
sure.
second nature.
And I mean, it's the way though. Like you get on TikTok, man, you can record your daughter taking her first steps, and it may go viral. And that's all
Exactly.
you
Yep.
need is a couple of views, and you can take off in the social media world.
Yeah, this whole creator world
That's it.
is just getting going, that's for sure. But undoubtedly, Quay has a potential, and echoing your sentiment, shout out Josh because he's definitely one of the best dudes that I had the pleasure of managing and coaching. Not that I'm a 2K coach, but in that role with Raptors Uprising, that he was just a great dude, very raised right. I've spoken to his mom a couple
Oh, for
times, and I
sure,
told her like she did a great job with that kid because he's just a good dude.
for sure. One thing
I really wish he got another shot at the league, to be honest. Like, I don't know
yeah,
if he ever really got like, because sorry to cut you off, Kenny, but he was just like always the utility guy. Like, whatever we needed, he would move into that position. You know what I mean? So like, I just feel like he never really got, and he like missed the good season, and it's like he kept getting these opportunities when we were
yeah,
like struggling and like never really got to settle into a position on a team that was clicking. And like, I think because of his coachability, because of what he brings to a team outside of the game and all that, like I really think he's someone that could be an asset to a team that's kind of like better built for success than the years when he was here with us.
yeah. I don't think we've seen the last of him. I'm actually gonna be playing with him coming up. Is off season. We're gonna put a team together, me and Josh.
Nice.
And I always have to get on him about his confidence, man. He just got to have that confidence and believe in himself. And he
I
can be
agree.
one of those blue guys if he had that confidence.
I 100% agree. I mean, he'll remember this probably in a negative light, but remember when we were in Orlando or whatever, it was the ticket, and anyway, he called for the ball. Remember, Beast Move,
Yeah,
ends up knocking down that buzzer beater and eliminates
yeah,
us. But the fact that he called for the ball, like that was why I brought him back. I was like, man, like he was clicking, he was having a great game, he was locking him up. And no, sorry, he didn't call for the ball. He called to defend,
yeah. He called to
on
defend
the
Beast Move
inbound.
because like
Let me get Beast Move.
everybody
Everyone
knew
was
what the
going to Beast
Warriors'
Move.
go-to play was. So
Yep.
we knew what his go-to play was, and the hit they was gonna call Beast Move on a quick like midi deck because that's what
Yep.
he been doing. That's what he was making his money off of during that
Yep.
season. But yeah, Josh knew it was coming. He called. He wanted to switch with me, which I would have got a stop on it, but that's another story. But yeah,
Yeah,
he
it would
had
have
that
been
confidence.
might have been a different result. But again, just the fact that Beast Move got the space and got the bucket and eliminated us, like that
Yeah,
wasn't the point. The
nah,
point was is like
nah,
I
it
saw him
wasn't. It
developing as a
wasn't.
player, his confidence,
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
Old Josh never would have called for that. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
for
And
sure.
that
He
was why I
stepped
was like,
up.
we need to give this guy another season to develop. You
Yeah,
know,
he stepped up and he wanted to live. He wanted to live with it being him. If we lose this game, it's going to be because I didn't get this stop, or if we gonna win this
yep.
game, it's because I got that stop. And like he took on that challenge. So you're right.
It's
That's
that
something
Michael
he
Jordan
probably
quote, right?
would.
I don't know it by
Yeah,
heart, but something along the lines of I win because I've failed so many times. You know what I mean? It's
yeah,
like you,
for
you
sure.
you can't learn how to win unless you're willing to step up and take those chances and fail and then get
Exactly.
better as a result, right? I've experienced that in my own
Nice.
career. 100%. We've talked about that before, but like just
I
taking
agree.
leaps of faith in my 20s. Like I didn't know what I didn't know, and I knew I didn't know what I didn't know. But I was like, the only way I'm going to learn is if I just go do it. I'm going to throw myself into the deep end, and like I said
There you
earlier,
go.
pressure makes diamonds, right? Speaking of the
Yeah.
off season, so you're going to be playing with Josh. What
Yeah.
you've moved around, one, the two, we kind of all know you could play just about anywhere. You could be a lock. There was
Yeah.
even talks potentially of you trying center. But so what are you thinking? What's your focus on in 2K23?
I'm gonna be playing point guard. For sure
Nice.
starting off, and I'm a lock in at that position like the whole year, and I'm gonna be playing in like more tournaments. I kind of stopped playing. I'm not gonna lie. I was playing PG. We made it far in this WR tournament. I think we made to like Final Four, and we got like forfeited, and I was kind of upset of how they did their business, and I kind of like stopped playing for a while, which I can't let that happen anymore. But yeah, I'm gonna lock in at PG.
I'm glad to hear it, man. We know the season you had all your success. I was like, when you were on your grind, your first one to hit legend, all that. Like, I just, I know it's hard to motivate, some of the 2K League, community to do
Yeah,
this in the offseason, but I think an active offseason is just like critically important. You could have success, and some people do have success without having an active offseason, but I mean, man, that is like something that is within your control. Like, no doubt you're increasing your chances of having a successful 2K League season if you have a busy offseason. You know what I mean? If you're active.
nah, for sure. And then especially like playing point guard in the off season, like controlling your whole team, you get better with game management, and you finding out what works. You find out what works for you, and it's a good thing that we have guys like Stan Fam now who's gonna give you, all right, Kenny, you're successful when you're doing this move right here, or the defense is good at taking away, or this guy's weakness. And I have it's no doubts in my mind with that behind me, and me being a confident player I am. And if I get those reps, the better I get. And you need that with the way that 2K is going these days. You don't know what game you're gonna get, but
Exactly.
you have those reps, you'll be prepared for anything. And I also got to get more reps on PlayStation, man. We was dominating when we was on PC. At the end of that first year, we thought we had a chance to win the finals. We was the hottest
Yep.
team in the league.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, um,
Even season two, I mean, our record in season two does not
yeah,
truly represent
it was
our team.
dangerous.
When you were at the one, no disrespect to
Yeah,
Doza, love the guy, great dude.
no, for sure.
And Doza was like a scrimmage or like a practice god. You know what I mean? Like every week our
Yeah,
practices, like we talked about the story before, but like you and Ogie would like have an intervention with me and be like, listen, we know you said Kenny's at the one, but like we're looking really good with Doza at the one in practice, and I'd be like, all right, I've heard this one before, and then it just wouldn't work out. And then when we would put you in at the one, we would have success. So I really think that season two team, had more potential. We just kind of screwed the draft up and just didn't, we didn't draft people specialized in specific positions, and so there was so much question about like who should be where,
yeah,
and we just played around a little bit too much. You know what I mean? But I think we were a great team, and I agree, man. Like the differences, the fine motor differences between the two controllers, like it's important. You know what I
for
mean?
sure.
Like there's just, if I were you, I would just exclusively play PlayStation. I know you're an Xbox guy. Your friends are on Xbox. It's probably not going to happen. But if I were a 2K League player and just trying to
No,
like maximize my chances of success, I'd just be exclusively using that PlayStation controller in the off season.
definitely more PlayStation.
Well,
I
Ken,
agree.
just from a timing perspective, so it's what day of the week is it? Wednesday. Where
Yeah,
this
Wednesday.
weekend is the 5v5 final. So this is going to come out probably after the final. So we'll know whether your take ended well or not. But what kind of
Prediction.
predictions do you have?
Oh
Kind of
man.
predictions do you have for this weekend?
Um, I've been saying it. I really can't count the Wizards out. It's just something about them when the lights on. They know how to win. We know they don't have like the best guards or anything, but the way they play defense, they play mistake free, and they make other teams pay. So I really can't count them out. Six is a real scary team. Do y'all want me to just give y'all who I think gonna win
Yeah,
it,
yeah, yeah.
or?
Yeah.
But yeah, do analyze however you will analyze.
But yeah, man, Sixers tough team. You can't count the Timberwolves out. They've been great all season long. Um, But if I had to take one team,
On the Sixers, Kenny, before you give us your final prediction, what do you think they would have been worse if the trade they had tried to do had gone through?
yeah, for sure.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think not that
Because man, it was
bad, but I don't think they like drop off that bad. But because you have like two of the best guards in the league, and get great, maybe the best point guard right now in 630. You know, he's the top player in this league. Um,
just crazy how that all went down. You know, like
it's
trade
crazy.
before the tournament,
And
win the tournament, find out there's a trade, and then the trade blows up because the team they were trading with didn't actually have the assets available, and continue to go on and have all that
I don't know,
success.
man.
It's just crazy.
It's something about Jeff, man. You got to get a guy. You got to tip your hat to him.
I
He
do.
knows what he's doing over there.
He 100%
He
knows what he's
knows what
doing
he's
over
doing.
there.
Yeah.
It is
Get it
hard,
any way
to
you
have
can.
consistent success and to have so many different teams. Like, it's not like he's had consistent success with just the exact same nucleus. You know what I mean? Like, he had success with Radiant, he's had success post Radiant.
Yeah.
Like, he definitely
Even
is, that
even
guy.
from even from having Radiant and having success with him, like maybe Radiant he didn't want to be there or something happened, but you don't trade guys like that with that much talent. But he was so smart with it that he knew he had a guy in Dre that was coming in that was, okay, this guy's
Mhm.
just gonna be just as good as Radiant. And he got rid of him, drafted Dre, and he's right back competing at a high
Didn't miss a
level.
step.
Didn't even miss a step, and it's crazy. But
I've never seen
he,
anyone work the trade
he
market like Jeff either. Not to
yeah,
expose your
he
secrets,
dropped
Jeff,
him.
but I
He
caught on to you
traded.
real quick. Jeff would
Yeah,
just message you and basically say everything's on the table, and he just wanted to hear what was on the table. So you're thinking like, ooh, Radiant's on the table, So then you're like, well, okay,
right.
under these circumstances, but then he just
Yeah,
knows like who's actually unmovable and who's movable, right?
yeah.
I caught on pretty quick, and after a while, I
I
stopped
think
saying,
what
yeah,
he
Jeff, we're
does
not
is, man,
interested. But
he got to be telling his players, all right, guys, you might hear something, but I'm not trading you. You're my
well, that's
guy,
it,
like so
right?
you're not going anywhere. Like he probably tell them ahead of time, like you're not going anywhere. So if you hear these rumors, like just ignore them or whatever the case may be.
That's just me working.
But
Yeah,
and
sorry
that's
to
how.
expose your secrets, Jeff,
So
but
so now so now we hear rumors about, all right, man, this guy, this say Kenny's on the block. Now I hear that. Now I'm thinking like, man, like now I'm coming to my management team, like, y'all trade me, what's going on? Like, so he can play those games with teams, and they probably have a mental effect on you, it may get them the competitive advantage.
yeah,
Um
exactly.
but yeah, for sure. I can't count the Sixers out, man. But I'm gonna go with the Timberwolves. I'm gonna go with the Timberwolves coming out the West, and I'm gonna go with the Wizards coming out the East.
That'd be a good finals.
All right.
It's gonna be tough
Shall
in the
see.
West because you
Potentially
got,
3
like, I
rings
think
for
the
Dave
Lakers.
Fry and the
I think
gang,
the
and 2
Lakers.
rings for.
The Lakers like a dark horse team. Like, I think you got to watch out for them because they can, when they're hooping, they can be scary.
Yeah, it's interesting how different things shook out than what we were theorizing in the off season, right? It's definitely been a bit of an eye opening season. And I don't know
For
if you
sure.
guys heard that. My doorbell just rang. You know what
Nah,
that means,
Phil.
Phil? 11-0, Phil. 11-0. Hold on, let
I've
me
been
just go check.
glancing over at my app, and they're still 12 minutes away. This is pathetic.
Oh man,
Great.
well, shout out UberEats hooking me up with
Oh,
my what are they called again? Short beef ribs. What are they called? Something like that.
It's called food
Looking
that
forward
you
to eating
have and
that.
I don't. That's what it's called.
Beef short ribs.
I'm,
Looking
that's
forward to eating
Shane.
this.
Shane might be cheating, man. He might have had that on the table right beside him the whole time. It's been
I
there.
don't know, bro. So he got something different, man. My Uber Eats is always delicious, but sometimes the guys
I
around here
got
be
the Uber
lacking. But to
Pass,
be
man. Maybe it's
fair,
the Uber Pass. I'm getting priority
I'm in Cali. To
delivery,
be
so
fair, I
traffic.
ordered around
Maybe,
lunchtime for a
maybe
lot of
that's
these
what it is.
businesses, traffic. That's on me. I'll accept the blame for that. I know we're about to wrap. I do have one more question for you, Kenny. Do you still
Mhm.
have one more MVP season in you, bro?
I think I do.
Yeah.
For sure. You haven't seen the end of me. I think I can get another MVP year in. It's just I gotta lock in and get to that PG and stop procrastinating.
I'm gonna be rooting for you.
That's
Let's have a big off
yeah,
season.
man.
I want to see Kenny and so hold on. Last question: would Josh be at the 2 if you guys play together, or what would he play? Small forward? What would you have him?
Josh, he's a smart guy, so he know what position in the league that he probably can, excel in and make it in, and I think it's going to be power forward.
Power forward, yeah.
Yeah, because most teams have point guards, shooting guards, centers,
Yeah.
lockdowns. So I think it'd be that power forward.
Well, man, I would love to see you and Josh on some winning box scores from some big off-season tournaments this year. So lock in, and I'll be
You'll
rooting
see
for
it.
you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Appreciate
man,
it always.
100%. Yeah,
Yes,
man.
sir.
Kenny, thank you so much for taking the time to join us here for our Raptors 2K podcast brought to you by UberEats. This was episode number 11. It was certainly a banger. So thanks, everybody, for watching. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you on the next one. Take care.